well, here we are, man. Crown Jewel. Crown fucking Jewel.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm gonna be honest, man. Just out the gate, let's just go ahead and say this shit was mid. This shit was absolutely mid. I just wanted to get that out immediately. What's your overall thoughts on this shit, man?
I guess the bloodline shit was like of course, but like that's cheap. That's like a cheap cop out, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Like, that shit was really good. I think the U.S. title match was really good. The women's tag match was decent. Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins was cool. Just overall, though, like, I think a lot of this shit that happened, bro, let's be real. Most of these matches could have been just on, like, a main event of a SmackDown or Raw.
I feel it.
Most of these matches could have been the main event of a SmackDown or a Raw. And even...
The champion, yeah, but, like, I don't know.
No, those obviously not, but, like, all the matches that were actually decent is what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, I feel that.
Could have just been, like, a really good main event of a regular show.
Raw or SmackDown.
And then you put them on a PLE, and I feel like they kind of look actually not as good because the PLE standards are just higher. And so now, like, that United States Championship match, that to me was, like, really, really good. Probably the match of the night, damn near, that or the Bloodline match. Those that, like, would have been, like, epic main events on a show, to me, I feel like just end up getting lost in the sauce of this fucking bloated ass card. And fucking, bro, like, the way the show ended, bro, god damn, that shit was fucking... I'm happy we get to talk about this shit here, because damn, bro, like...
I guess they, like, broke kayfabe a little bit. Like,
thank you, bro. Like, I'm happy other people are saying this shit. Like, Liv Morgan is a fucking heel.
But she came out over here fucking hugging Cody.
Yes, bro. Like, why are they acting all cool with each other? That shit don't even make sense. It's like a slap in the face to us as fans that, like, try to suspend disbelief and get invested in the storyline.
I understand that she got emotional, that she's like fucking won the championship.
Nah, but fuck that, bro. They literally just did that for a cheap ass photo op with the fucking, like, Saudi Arabian, like, whoever the fuck that were there, the, like, officials and shit. They just did that shit for a cheap ass photo op, which, like, bro, do that shit off camera. Like, if they do that in the stadium with all the fans live seeing it, that's fine. But why the fuck do we have to see this lame ass shit? Both of them standing in the corners and shit like they're a tag team. That shit was lame, bro. That shit literally, I was looking at my fucking screen as I was watching that shit.
It was like the shit with the Messi World Cup when he put the fucking veil on him.
I was literally saying ew as I was watching that shit, bro.
I don't know,
like,
that's like bad to say, but like, I don't know.
I feel you, bro.
It's like fucking every Monday night Raw or Friday night SmackDown, they come out talking about politics or some shit.
You just stumbled onto a good point. Because you say, why? I'll tell you exactly why. Because this is what sports washing is. And I know that we don't like to get into some of these uncomfortable conversations sometimes, but let's just be fucking honest. The whole reason why these events happen in Saudi Arabia or why the World Cup happened in Qatar is because these nations that, historically speaking, don't have the best, like, public outlook from people in other countries because their governments have done pretty fucked up shit to their people and fucked up shit around the world. They're trying to clean up their image. And so they do these big sporting events, and they pull out their officials and make sure that they get that photo op of Messi with the Qatari officials and everything, or Cody and Liv with the fucking Saudi people, because they want to make sure that they project that image of, like,
peace.
We're on the global stage with everyone. Yes, we're playing nice. We're different now, even though their governments don't necessarily change. And so that's what it is, bro. And that to me is what upset me, is, like, I already try my best, like, because as people could probably tell from this rant, I'm not the biggest fan of these events that take place in these countries where their governments are so blatantly trying to cover up for shit that, like, there's no history of wrestling here. There's no history of soccer, football here. but you're forcing these events to happen here through your financial power just so you can try and make yourself a player on the cultural global stage. I try my best to like ignore that shit because at the end of the day, who am I, right? I'm just some fucking dude sitting over here in California. I have no power in these things. And so like the business deal happened. Me watching or not watching isn't gonna have like the biggest impact on it because I already feel how I feel about the whole sports washing shit. It's not gonna change my opinion. And so I'm not gonna not watch wrestling or not watch the World Cup just because that shit's happening over there. But like I like, bro, don't rub it in my fucking face type. You know what I'm saying? Like when it's just wrestling, like I could just watch it. I'm actually happy for the Saudi Arabian people there because they don't have nothing to do with all the government shit that's happening. And if they're wrestling fans or soccer fans, whatever it is, it's dope that they get to watch it. I'm happy for them.
It's like how they did in South Africa and shit. Like, hey,
like that's awesome. That's fucking cool. Exactly. And so like I enjoy those moments, but then yeah, like when it becomes something like that where I feel like I could so blatantly see what's happening here, it's like, dude, this is a little frustrating, and it just undermines everything else that happened at the event because it makes the whole event. It just reminds us all what the whole intention of the event is in the first place, which is to like.
This might be a crazy take, but
go ahead.
Literally, just probably like a few thousand miles down, they're literally doing tribute to the troops. Fucking a few years back and shit, bruh. That's like the wildest part. Now they're doing.
Yeah.
And shit here.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny how wrestling has consistently found its way into these like geopolitical issues, and they tend to just go wherever it favors them to go. It's not like they've taken a hard stance on it when it benefited them to be like super pro-America and pro-American government. Let's go hang out with the troops. And when it benefits us more to be pro-Saudi Arabia and pro-Middle East, we're gonna go fuck with them over there. Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising, man. It's the way of the world. Wherever the money and power is, that's where people are gonna go. I mean, yeah, you make a good point. I mean, this is the same company that for how many years was having their superstar American boy Hulk Hogan go up against the scary foreign heel. So, like, the whole history of wrestling is based in, like, making foreign people spooky and scary. And so, fucking, yeah, like, it's just, all of this shit definitely just, like you're saying, the more you think about it, the more you dig into it, the more it's like, ugh, like, it's in poor taste. One of the things that I think is, so, like, obviously, like, as a dude, I'm not trying to be, like, fucking creepy and weird and shit. So I'm not paying too much attention to, like, everyone's ring gear, like the female wrestlers and shit like that. But it is, you can't help but notice. And, like, the reason I say my girlfriend pointed it out to me while we were watching. She's like, why are all the girls looking like that? And I'm like, oh, yeah, like, fucking.
They're in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, like, in there. It's those funny things that happen where it's like, are we actually advancing shit, or are we just trying to get the check?
I guess it's an advancement because, like, I guess 2 years ago or 3 years ago,
they didn't even wrestle. I get that. Like, yes, we've taken a bit of a step forward, but at the same time, like, if the female wrestlers can't even express themselves in the same way that the male talent can, and again, like, I'm not trying to say we need to have everyone all naked and shit, but like. I guess it's more down to, because, like, I feel like,
I guess it's
in wrestling specifically, like, for the male wrestlers, I know that they want to be out there with their shirts off and shit because they all work hella hard to have their good physique and shit. And so I'm imagining for the female perspective, it's the same thing. Like, they want to be able to show off the physique that they work hard for.
But see,
and so now, hold on, let me land it. I was watching Raw earlier in the show they just did in Saudi Arabia, and they've got multiple wrestlers coming out that are like male and females like at the same time, like different factions and teams and shit, and like the male wrestlers in their normal attire and the females in their like Saudi attire, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And I guess it's just like, damn, bro, like we fought so hard in this country specifically for like equality for everyone to be able to like do whatever they want and express themselves however they feel, and like. Again, it's just, I understand that we want to respect other people's cultures and shit
Yeah.
like that. I get that. I do get that. I hear it.
It's like literally
But
part of your
no,
religion type
this is
of
my
shit,
thing. This is
bro.
my thing. This is my thing. Like, they're not of your culture, so why do they have to fit into your culture's rules? Like, if
Because-
it's someone who is Muslim who wants to be a part of the Muslim culture,
That's the unfortunate thing, because this is their government, basically all fucking religion based and shit.
and that's kind of where it goes back to that, where it's like, in my personal opinion, I don't think this is a hot take. I think that people should be able to have their own religious views and practice them however they feel they want to practice them. But you shouldn't be able to force your religious views and those practices onto other people who don't necessarily feel the same way. And it's kind of wild that when we go over there just to make sure we get our nice check from the Saudi government, that all of a sudden we throw a lot of those principles out the window. And like when the 4th of July show comes around or some shit, they're gonna do some shit and they're gonna be all proud to be American and they're gonna play the fucking national anthem and shit. But it's like, bro, y'all were just doing the dance for the Saudi money. So what we just went into a whole different tangent with this. This is crazy. But can I tell you why this is a problem? We would have never been having this fucking discussion if it wasn't for the fact that not this is the thing. When they put out a PLE in a country like Saudi Arabia with all this controversy around it, and then they make the show ass. Because when the shows were good, we're not sitting here talking about political shit having to do with Saudi Arabia. We're talking about, damn, that show was good. There was all this other blah, blah, blah that happened. It was interesting. The matches the fact that they chose specifically to lock all 4 significant, like, major championships from both the men's and women's side of the roster and
just
lock them up
competition
in a meaningless match. A meaningless match.
I feel that one.
It just absolutely cooked the PLE from the jump. Everything else was just trying to add stakes. Bro, get the fuck, they got a ring. Like, it's just something that's never gonna have any sort of storytelling significance going forward. The entire build up to this PLE was wasted because there was no real storylines that got to progress.
And everything just got confusing at the end because it was like, okay.
Everything got completely confusing. Coming out of it, we're left in this weird spot. Like, I don't know if you saw the promo on Raw from Gunther where Ludwig Kaiser was trying to talk and say...
And that was like turning, kind of fucking face or whatever. And
he like cut him off, and was like, oh... And it's not even him turning face. See, that's the problem. It sounds like he's turning face, but he's just trying to legitimize the match that they had to make the crown jewel championship thing seem more legit.
Especially since there's the Saudi Arabia and shit.
But it's really, like, yeah, exactly. It's just so empty and, like, it just is against Gunther's character. It's not what he should be doing, should be saying, should be acting.
Uncomfortable a little bit.
It was just fucking ridiculous, bro. Like, they're just making a mockery out of, like... I don't know, bro. Like, it's hard. Like, at the end of the day, it's all fucking wrestling. So I try not to get, like, I'm not going to get fucking, like, actually upset. Like, it's not like in my day-to-day life I'm angry about this shit.
Sounds like you are.
But, hey, man, look. It's hard not to feel a little like, bro, like, come the fuck on. Like, I watch these shows every week. I watch these PLEs. I get invested into these storylines. I fucking love wrestling. And so I want to see stories that, at the bare minimum, even if I disagree with shit that happens, if it at least makes sense and I can kind of logically follow everyone's decisions, I will be okay with it. Like, I will try to make peace with when I disagree. And I think that's the most enjoyable wrestling, is when shit makes sense and you can understand different perspectives. Like, the Bloodline storyline's a perfect example of that. Everything, the whole conflict that's going on with Sami Zayn and the Usos, like, I could genuinely see both sides of where they're coming from. And it makes it a more interesting storyline because I don't know which side I'm fully on, and I'm curious to see how it progresses. This just had none of that shit. Like, it I don't know, man. It totally, robbed us of a chance to have continued storylines. Like everything that Cody was going through with Randy and KO had to get put on pause. Gunther's got like a half dozen dudes on Raw right now that could potentially be coming for the World Heavyweight Championship, and none of that could be addressed. Fucking, and it kills the legitimacy of one of your champions. Like one of the two of them has to look trash.
Yeah,
Gunther is over here talking about Cody Rhodes like he's the tribal chief of the company now, like he's just the big dog. And Nia Jax has taken what, like 3 or 4 pins in the last 6 weeks? Like, you know what I mean? Like, these are supposed to be the top champions in the company, and they're getting treated. I don't know, bro. I don't fucking know. And like I said, it's not to say that there wasn't some good matches on the card.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to that U.S. Championship match. This is actually one thing I needed to fucking say. Why the fuck y'all got Bronson Reed losing? What the fuck?
I guess Seth Rollins is OP again, bro.
Bro, he's been getting built up like the fucking most dominant monster on the fucking roster
Just
right
to
now.
get beat by Seth Rollins.
Just to get beat by Seth Rollins off an injury? Like, my whole thing after he was getting attacked and everything and just barely coming off an injury was that's how they were going to sell it. They're like, he's not fully 100%. You know what I mean? And so, like, no one walks away looking too bad. Like, Seth lost, but he could chalk it to the injury. And Bronson gets to say he beat Seth Rollins, so everyone's cool. But nah, bruh. It's scaring me. I'm getting Shinsuke vibes.
For Bronson.
From Bronson.
Wow.
Because Shinsuke was cooking in that Seth beef last year. And then as soon as that shit ended, back to the mid-card with your ass.
That's
over.
The fucking house shows and shit.
Absolutely. Exactly, bro. Go wrestle at some fucking house shows. I'm scared as shit they're going to do the same thing to Bronson Reed. And I just don't understand it. Like with Shinsuke, at least the one thing I can understand where they're coming from is it is tough when the wrestlers don't speak English because it's really hard to get, I feel like, promos and feuds and everything going. Like, they did a good job doing, like, the whole anime with the subtitles and everything. That was really, really cool and a good way to work it. But long term, how much can you do with that? I'm not sure. So I could kind of understand to an extent why the Shinsuke push didn't last long term, story-wise at least. Bronson Reed, bro, his promos have been fucking awesome. He's playing that badass character so well. I don't know what else he would have to do to justify getting a push at this point. Like, he's done everything he could do.
Didn't he get involved in the fucking 4-way match today? Didn't he get involved in the 4-way match today?
Yeah. So, like, he's still showing that he's going to be involved in this shit. Like, he is still going to continue this feud with Seth for a bit, but I worry that since he already lost the first match, he's probably going to lose if there is a third match, because there's no way he's going to, like, win the overall feud. That would be a lot. So he's probably only going to win maybe this next match if they even have one. I just feel like, I don't know, man, like, having him come out the first, like, big main event match that he's had, not obviously it wasn't the main event, but match against a main eventer caliber, I just feel like it would have been really huge for his momentum to give him that win. And now we're kind of back to, like, trying to build it up again towards, I guess, Survivor Series, but I don't know, man. I'm just a big fan of Bronson Reed. I feel like he's really underutilized, and I feel like they were finally starting to figure out, like, that they have a serious main event caliber dude in their hands. And I'm just feeling like, bro, they're botching it. They're fucking botching it. I'm scared, bro. He's a fucking dog, bro. Like, he's so good in the ring. He's good on the mic. And I think he'll improve on the mic if you give him more time and actually, like, more of a character and more feuds to work with. Like, it's hard when the only promo material they give you to work with is, like, you're really scary and shit. You know what I mean? Like, if he actually had more people he was up against consistently and more of kind of his own character backstory to kind of build off of, I feel like there'd be something there. I don't know, man. I was just, like, looking through this match list right here, and, like, that I remembered was one of the ones that did kind of really piss me off. Like, it was still a really entertaining match overall, but just why the fuck is Bronson Reed not winning here? I can't understand. Like, this is how I've mentioned this before too. This is not the first time I've said this. When I'm trying to do my predictions and like think about how I'm looking at these matches, I ask myself one question. It's always real simple. Who benefits more? And I look at both perspectives. And this one's real fucking easy. Bronson Reed benefits a whole fucking lot from beating Seth freaking Rollins. A whole lot. He becomes all of a sudden potentially a main event guy for the long term. Seth Rollins has done everything. He's won belts. He's been around the block. Mr. Money in the fucking Bank. The Shield. Fucking all the Roman feud. He's a legend. He's a living legend of wrestling already. What the fuck does beating Bronson Reed add to that for real? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
His revenge.
Get the fuck, bro. We will forget about that shit in 6 weeks if they don't have another match. Like, it will be totally irrelevant by the end of the year. And so to me, you got one dude who we would literally forget by the end of the year that they even had this feud. It's just whatever. Versus one dude that it could literally change the trajectory of his entire fucking career.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't understand how Triple H and the creative team would look at that and be like, yeah, let's give it to Seth. Like, dude, he doesn't need it. And I know that's not always 100% of the time how you could book a match, because sometimes you do have to throw a swerve in there, and sometimes there's a bigger story at play, and so you got to have someone lose. And then, I get that it can't always be as simple as that, but this is one of those ones where I really feel like, why? Yeah. Why? Just why? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how it happens going forward. And I guess you kind of hinted to it a bit, Super Seth. Like, they have a few guys that, like, they just really struggle to book them to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you don't need to have a group of superheroes. Like, there can be a couple, but every single main event guy on the roster, damn near, it'd be taking like a half dozen finishers, an interferent chair shot, the ref bump knocks them out, and so they get hit with the turnbuckle 5 times. Like, you gotta do the fucking most to pin any of these guys. And I just don't think that all, like, I don't know. I feel like at a certain point, it loses its value a little bit having, like, a Roman Reigns level guy, a Cody Rhodes level guy. And, like, Roman took that pin against Solo, which was a really big deal for sure. But when it's also, like, such a huge deal whenever Gunther takes a pin, at this point, damn near, obviously he's champion, but even before that, LA Knight was kind of a little bit in that vibe, and I fucking love LA Knight, so I'm not even trying to say that I'm not trying to be a hater for these people, but Seth Rollins is in that category, Sami Zayn is in that category, Randy Orton as of late is in that category. There's a lot of guys that it's like, when you're in that top tier, they just don't let you lose unless it's everything going against you, and try to protect you every single way possibly they can. And I don't think that necessarily needs to be the case. I don't know, man. Sometimes this Triple H booking style bugs me, man. Like, obviously there's like a million different things that we could say about Vince McMahon as a person. This is not an endorsement of Vince McMahon, the human. But there are some things about Vince as a booker that I do miss. And I'm not sure if that's just because I grew up watching it. Yeah. But sometimes that, like, super unpredictable shit is, like, the best shit.
That's like his specialty and shit.
You know? Like, just having those, like, kind of out of nowhere title changes, or just, like, feuds that kind of start randomly. And, like, the problem is that sometimes Vince would, like, start some shit and then not finish it. And so once you start a feud, you have to, like, pay it off. And that was a problem. So I appreciate that Triple H's creative has been, for the most part, much more organized, and, like, when stuff is teased, it's usually paid off, which is good. Like, that's really hard to do on weekly television, so I appreciate that. But at the same time, when everything is so meticulously planned and everything is so thought out, you just miss sometimes that element of chaos. And like at the end of the day, it's like I said earlier, like wrestling, it's just wrestling. Like we shouldn't take it too serious. There should just be like a random fucking like I loved when the Miz and R-Truth had the tag team belts for a bit.
Yeah.
Cause not every champion's gotta be like the Roman Reigns, Gunther, Cody Rhodes type of champion where they're like the most serious and they love wrestling and they want to be the best ever. Like it could just be for funsies sometimes. It's cool. That's cool. I like fun. Fun is good. So I don't know, man. We went on a whole weird tangent with this show, but that's because it was a weird fucking show.
Yeah,
like if you wanted motherfuckers to go through every single match and break that shit down, there's other people who do a good job doing that. Like this really was not the show that deserved that, in my opinion, bro. This show was weird. This show was fucking weird. I don't really like this crown jewel shit we're doing, man. This whole champion versus championship, I think, is a real big L. And the fact that they're trying to really sell it scares me because I think it's not going anywhere. Yeah. This is going to be a thing for years to come, in my opinion. Like, who has the most rings they're going to force that conversation. It's not a fun conversation, but they're going to force that conversation. I don't want to start comparing Cody and Roman on who has more rings.
I feel that.
They don't play sports. They professionally wrestle.
Wrestle for belts.
Yes.
Championships, right?
A belt holds up your pants, yeah. It's a championship. Motherfucker.
I think call it belt.
Don't disrespect
the championship belt, bro. Stupid bitch. Fucking crazy rant, bro.
So let me ask you, just so we could end on somewhat of a more positive note. How are we feeling about the Bloodline match? Because to me, as much as the United States Championship match was the best professional wrestling match, technically speaking, by far, the storyline-wise, the Bloodline match stole the show.
Well, that's interesting. And
I'm a sucker for the stories. I think people will come to realize that the more they hang out here. As much as we love some good old-fashioned graps, I'm here for the fucking soap operas. I'm a fucking chismoso. I want the tea. I want the tea. And so how did we feel about the Bloodline match? Because there was a whole lot of goddamn drama in that shit, brother. That shit was ridiculous. How do we feel about the finish? Let's start there, because that was fucking awesome.
The Solo Sikoa shit.
Him in the middle of the ring, surrounded by everyone. I love that moment. That was so fun. So fun. Because I really did think they got me. They totally fooled me. I'm sitting there thinking he's about to get his ass pummeled by everyone. I thought everyone was about to come in there. We were going to get oozy with it. It was going to be great. And then, nah, bro. Yeah, straight to Roman, to the big dog, bro. I mean, shit.
See, bro, that's interesting.
I'm definitely excited to see what goes down on SmackDown this week. I think that Sammy got some splaining to do. But I also think the Bloodline got some splaining to do because they low-key been shading that fool when, honestly, he had a reason to be upset back in the day. And, like, everyone else got forgiven for turning their back on everyone else, but for some reason they still hold that shit against Sammy hard as fuck. It's like, bro, everyone else fucked each other over.
They really brought Sami Zayn back, bro.
It is crazy, I think.
Uso, bro.
So I did see a tweet come out, and I'm not sure if this is like official, but it looks like, from what I'm understanding, that Survivor Series War Games this year, rather than being 5-on-5, is going to be 4-on-4. Mm-hmm. And to me, that pretty clearly indicates that Survivor Series is going to be the Bloodline 1 versus Bloodline 2. How would you feel about that? Because we've already kind of gotten it to an extent on this PLE in a tag team match. You want to see it again at the next PLE as the War Games match?
That's going to be interesting.
I personally do, which is rare. I feel like more often than not in this situation, if you're telling me like we just got a similar match at the just most recent PLE and we're doing just kind of a remixed version of it, I'd probably say like, no, I'm kind of bored of it. Let's do something different. But because I feel like we're building slowly towards something really epic with the whole build with the Bloodline shit, I'm actually down for them to keep pushing this as like the main storyline. Because really, that's the best story they've got cooking right now. It's the best shit. And so Why not? Let's lean into it. I'm happy with it. Do you think we get? I know this is early because there's a lot of time till Survivor Series. Do you think we get the final boss making an appearance, making a special return?
At the end, it'll make you 5-on-5. We're gonna have to see though.
Not as an actual in the War Games match, just like maybe similar to the Bad Blood.
Do you think he's gonna interfere or some shit?
Like maybe more significant than Bad Blood, where he literally just walks out,
And stares at them and shit.
counts to 3, and then walks away. Like you're saying, like gets in and kind of interferes in the match, but not as an official competitor. Do you think that there's a chance we see that?
Probably.
As like an escalation?
Probably.
I do feel like it's time to kind of start interjecting some life into the story with that. I think that'd be good for the story overall, bringing some of that in there. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all there is from this shit, man. I don't, we could keep sitting here talking about the geopolitical implications of WWE working with Saudi Arabia, but I don't think that's that entertaining at the end of the day. If you had to give an overall impression review, what would you say? What's the overall final thoughts?
6 out of 10.
Okay. Really? That's pretty high.
I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10.
I'm a dead ass give that shit like a 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
That shit.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be up there with like Money in the Bank as one of the worst PLEs of the year.
Oh, the year?
Of the year.
Okay, so we're reviewing it like compared to the other PLEs. So yeah, I'll give it like a 5.
Just like overall this year compared to the PLEs we've had, I think it's easily one of the worst ones.
I feel that one.
Off the top of the head, the only one I could think of that was that bad is Money in the Bank.
Because it was useless.
Backlash wasn't great, but the crowd carried. Bash in Berlin wasn't great, but the crowd carried. Like, there was a couple of those. Yeah, man, this was pretty fucking cheeks. Money in the Bank just pissed me off so much from a booking perspective.
Because that shit was wasted.
So I'll say this. To me, just my initial reaction is Money in the Bank is worse because I went into it expecting to be like excited and impressed and came away disappointed. I went into this expecting to be disappointed and was proven to be correct. So to me, like, it's still shitty, but just slightly less shitty because I knew it was coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But unfortunate. Unfucking fortunate. Fuck it, dude. Crown Jewel.
It would have been bad. It was decent, I guess. Whatever.
Fucking mid. Can't tell you one. This is my final thought. Putting that fucking ring on Cody and Liv. Y'all want to be MJF so bad.
I'm good.
Y'all want to be MJF so bad. He's better than you.
Stupid as fuck.
And you know it.
Fucking ring.